Push. There you go.
All right. I had to do it 3 times. Okay. All right, here we go. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion to come out.
And a second, please.
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session,
Motion to
please.
seal the minutes.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we are out of executive session and ready to begin the regular session. Just 15 minutes tardy, but we're on our way. So, Mrs. Amatrano, if I could ask you to call the roll, please.
Glenn Shibley,
Present.
Craig LaBoissoniere,
Here.
Kerry McGee,
Here.
Karen Carlson,
Here.
Deb Bacon,
Here.
Ed Wazika,
Here.
Nicholas Gorham.
Here.
Okay, and Mr. Spearman, if I could ask you, I saw you, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay, and while we're still standing, if you care to, could bow our heads. Dear Lord, we ask for your blessings. We ask for your guidance. We ask for a civil meeting tonight. And we also ask for your prayers and safety of our public safety officers. Understand we had another police officer shot this week in Boston. Luckily, it's not life-threatening, but our public service officers, every night, every day, every hour, have to fight the good battle for us. So we ask for your blessings over them, also all of our military personnel, both this country and around the world. Amen.
Amen.
And Mr. Spearman, if you could go over the evacuation plan, please.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Wait till we, make sure we move it. Wait till we move it.
After the school department.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Tall, but not that tall. All right. President's comments, just a couple. One is that just make a note that our next town council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, October 9th. Due to the Columbus Day holiday weekend, we wish all of you a happy Columbus Day weekend. As we all know, the Situate Art Fair is going that weekend, and I know there's a lot of festivities throughout not only Coventry, but the state, and it's a nice holiday to celebrate for sure. And I'm not 1 ounce Italian-American, but I like Christopher Columbus and what he did for our country. So, number 2, I was asked by the director during, actually for last meeting, but I read the email about a day late, just to mention that the Coventry Department of Parks and Recreation, they have a lot of scheduled upcoming fall events. So encourage everyone to check with the Department of Parks and Rec, the website, and events for children and adults, as we have already entered the beginning of autumn. So it's just one meeting late, but we haven't got that far into the fall for sure. Basically, that's going to be it for my comments tonight. We do have a proclamation, Mrs. Amatrano. I don't know if you care to read it. I believe I've signed it. Is it something where you want to, why don't you read it for us and let everybody know they have requested Coventry along with, 500 other cities and towns around our country to partake in this day for November 1st, but I defer to you now, if you can read it for us.
2018 Extra Mile Day. Whereas Coventry, Rhode Island is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrance exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and services. And whereas Coventry, Rhode Island is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas is a community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference, lift up a fellow members of their community. And whereas Coventry, Rhode Island acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 550 extra mile cities in America and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2018. Now therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Coventry hereby proclaims November 1st, 2018 to be Extra Mile Day. I urge each individual in this community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in his or her own life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organization, families, community, country, or world a better place. In witness whereof, I hereby hereunto you set my hand and caused the seal of the town to be affixed this 24th day of September 2018.
Okay, thank you very much, and I think we can all agree that it's a good thing, and it does not take a vote, but we go on record as we're one of the 550 towns that have declared November 1st. So mark it on your calendar and see how you can help out fellow citizens and go that extra mile. All right, next on the agenda, number B4 is the approval of the town council meeting for September 10th. Agenda item B4, we all have that in front of us. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, do I have any comments or any changes or any corrections?
Just a note that I was absent at that meeting, so I'll abstain from the vote.
Okay. I just have one correction on a typo, page 80. I know that Councilwoman Carlson has had her name spelled all the way through many times correctly, but there is on the lower part of page 9, which is also page 80, where it has Carol's son. So if we could correct that one, I didn't see it misspelled anywhere else or anyone else, and we'll get that corrected, official for the minutes. Any other changes or corrections or additions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I guess that was 2 ayes, 3 ayes. Anybody opposed? All right, we're all in agreement that we accept the minutes. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the council district updates. Why don't I start to my left? Mr. LeBossiniere, District 2.
I had some conversations with some of the folks over on Thompson Road. They had some issues with some of the new paving that was done on Luber Road, and a problem with a berm, which was removed. Other than that, I haven't. I've got nothing else right now at this point.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Carlson, District 1.
Good evening, and it's great to see so many people. Am I on? Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, good. Not to belabor what I always belabor, but Mr. Wazika, any new information on our electric bills or the solar across the street?
We have started doing the research on that, myself and our finance director, and we're digging into that whole situation, so we are working on that thing.
Okay. Just to kind of digress a bit, I'm going to take a page out of Councilman McGee's book, and I have a little statement I wanted to read. And so this is my last town council meeting. We're moving, everybody knows that, pretty much. If you didn't, now you do. And there were a few things I wanted to say, and never fear, and I'm reading this because I don't want to get emotional, because it's been 6 years, and you spend a lot of time doing this, so I thought I'd better write it down than trying to do it off the cuff. So I'll try to go fast because we got a lot tonight. This won't be one of my desk-pounding tirades, I hope. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve the residents of District 1 and the town of Coventry for the last 6 years as the town council member for District 1. But first and foremost, I really should thank my family. I'd like to insert long suffering. My husband, Carl, who often called during the day to find out if I had a meeting that night. Yes. And if there was a possibility of dinner in the oven. No, rarely. And my 2 kids, Nick and Julie, who quickly learned to ask, is this a make-it-yourself night rather than what's for dinner? Next, I want to thank the voters of District 1 for electing me in 2012 and again in 2014. I didn't have the opportunity to thank you for my reelection in 2014, so I thought I better do it now. I've met many wonderful residents in D1 and other districts who I want to thank for their support, friendship, and encouragement over the last 6 years. Some I knew and some I didn't, but many of whom have become really good friends and have given me a great insight into the history of how things work or don't work in Coventry. There is no doubt we have a great town with many residents who only want the best for their families. And I think that proclamation that was read tonight shows the fiber in our residents. We have an outstanding Parks and Rec department. We have great town hall employees. We have hardworking DPW employees, and what I consider to be the best library in the state. I particularly want to thank Lynn Blanchette and her staff for doing such a great job on a tight budget. I'm always over there, so I have a pile of books that go home all the time, and they're just great ladies and gentlemen over there. And many thanks to Ed Wazika for all of his efforts to straighten out our Coventry cluster. It's quite an undertaking. Thanks to Caroline Wells and Brian Wagner for their efforts on behalf of the residents of District 1 who are suffering from flicker issues. Okay, now for the maybe not so great part. We have problems with leadership, meaning there is cronyism, conflicts of interest, and too many backroom deals going on in this town. It's not a surprise or a secret, and it won't be solved unless we have residents willing to run for office who really do understand what it means to be fiscally responsible, who rein in the spending, who don't allow for spending that's not budgeted, who represent their district and our town without being influenced by special interest groups, developers, etc. We have 35,000 residents in Coventry. I did that today too, with a declining school enrollment, and our fiscal 18-19 budget is $103 million. We all know how it's spent, and if you don't know, please look into it, because it's your money that's being spent. We don't spend enough on the kids directly, and I think we spend a lot more in other areas that maybe we don't need to. I won't go into that because you've already heard me on that one. On the town side, we don't have money to repave streets, and our sewer fund is struggling to get out of the you-know-what. Unfunded spending needs to stop in both the town and school departments. To understand the needs of the town departments, there needs to be I suggest a monthly department report split between the 2 monthly meetings, like 5 departments one time and 5 the next time, or however many there are. And while it's always good to hear what's going on in the schools, I'd also suggest that we get an update on their financial situation with the school reports on expenditures and revenue, and then I think that would be useful. We talk a lot about open and transparent government. I think it's time to stand up and actually do that. We need leadership on the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board, people who understand and follow the comprehensive plan, and who protect and preserve District 1's natural resources and lifestyle, plus balancing growth in the town with appropriate land development and beautification. The Town Council, Planning Commission, and Zoning Board should be issued comp plans as mandatory reading in order to make the right decisions possible when it comes to permitting and so on. My last comment is that I urge the taxpayers to call for a performance audit of both the town and school departments to find out exactly how and where our money is being spent. Let's spend the funds to find out if your taxpayer dollars are being wasted and where. As with the town council and most of the school committee meetings, the planning, zoning, and sewer subcommittee meetings should be videotaped and broadcast for taxpayer viewing. Of course, that doesn't mean you shouldn't attend in person to comment during public comment. I, for one, think public comment is very important to our meetings and our government, and hope it continues, although I would like to put it back at the beginning of the meeting. I wish all of you the best in the future. Get active and don't depend on social media for your information as to what's happening in your town. And I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Now, did I understand this is your last meeting? I didn't know that until tonight, right now. But wish you the very, very best. I know you're going down to a great state, and I kind of envy you for sure, and your husband and family. So, again, on behalf of the entire council, we thank you for your service. We all know it's time-consuming and not easy, and 6 years is 6 years. So, thanks again, Karen, for sure. Okay, Mrs. Bacon, District 5.
I just want to thank Karen for her years of service, and you will be missed. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
Mr.
I also,
McGee.
I realize this was your last meeting, and I want to thank you for everything, you've done working hard in the council, and I wish you the best of luck in the future in your endeavors. And District 3, everything's going pretty smooth. I see we had a few last streets getting swept in over the last couple of weeks, so I appreciate that getting done. And also, I'd like, because we're going to be meeting after the holiday weekend, I would also like to wish everybody a nice holiday, safe holiday weekend in October for Columbus Day. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. District 4, real briefly, just continue watching for the opening of the new Morse Tavern. There, the former Doherty's Ale House and Tioga Tavern, and before that, Nino's. We see the sign on the side of the building that they've already got it posted, Morse Tavern's coming in District 4 for the good of all of Coventry, and we appreciate that. I think probably within the next few weeks, in that we're close to October. It should be open, and looking forward to the invitation for the ribbon cutting. Also, tonight, I understand we might be entertaining another new restaurant in District 4 or 5. It's right on the line, and we'll get to that later. But that's also very good. Love to see businesses opening back up in Coventry. It helps not only the tax base, but it gives residents additional places to frequent. So that's it for District 4. And next on the agenda, we have the school department report, which Mr. Florio, I believe, will be presenting the report. The vice chairman. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. LaBoissoniere. Good evening, Mr. McGee, Ms. Bacon, and good luck with your future, Karen. We looked at your home online. Yeah. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. In a tradition that Mr. Levis has established, I'm going to report good news with the school committee, which we always have. We had a great opening day with our staff on Tuesday, August 28th. The Navy Junior ROTC Color Guard presented colors. Tioga students led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Coventry High School students Hannah Lanou and Aiden Lamont sang the Star-Spangled Banner. The highlights of the morning were a surprise visit from the members of the Coventry Little League baseball team. The Coventry High School senior Max Riley played a guitar piece, and Coventry High School junior Marcus Evans shared inspirational words with our staff on the powerful role models adults play in shaping each and every day. Our successes from last year were celebrated by school and by the department. The Coventry Public Schools Teacher of the Year, Kerry Potvin, and the Coventry Public Schools Support-Related Personnel Person of the Year, Brian Skolaski, were introduced to standing ovations. The morning ended by recognizing 6 individuals throughout our community who truly championed their students. Congratulations to Coventry High School Regional Career and Technical Education Center's computer science teacher, Kyle Cattell. Mr. Cattell was accepted into the Amazon Future Engineer Pathway Program. This was a highly sought-after partnership. This program funds all the curriculum, materials, and resources for offering AP computer science courses to our students. It also provides numerous internships and scholarship opportunities for students interested in pursuing a computer science field beyond high school. Congratulations to Kyle for positioning Coventry High School to receive this opportunity. Congratulations to Alan Sean Feinstein, special education teacher, Ms. Lauren Lombardi. Lauren was presented the Golden Apple Award this past Friday. Ms. Lombardi was providing small group instructions when she was surprised with a visit from the Commissioner of Education, Mr. Ken Wagner, and Channel 10's Patrice Wood, and a representative from the new sponsor of the Golden Apple Award, Ocean State Credit Union. Congratulations to Tioga Elementary School art teacher, Alexandria Hornstein. Ms. Hornstein was selected as the Rhode Island Art Education Association's Young Educator of the Year for 2018. There will be a celebration in the fall when she will be recognized. Congratulations also, finally, to Coventry High School senior Max Riley. Max was selected as one of only 50 guitarists nationally to be part of the National Honors Guitar Ensemble. Max will be traveling to Disney World, where the National Honors Guitar Ensemble will be performing. Quite quite a list this evening, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are doing our work.
Very good. Well, thank you for the report, Mr.
Yep.
Florio. Any questions, Mr. Florio, of the council? Or if not, we thank you for coming out tonight and giving us the update on the school
Thank you, Mr.
committee.
President.
Good. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Warzika.
Mr. President, I was wondering if we could move item G1 up. I noticed there's a lot of people from the SRP here, and we've got a lot of standing room only. And we can move this up, I think we'll clear out some of the building. Hopefully.
Observation and perception, Mr. Warzika. I knew you had it in you. And if there's no objections then of the other council members, I think that's probably a good idea. So any objections? If not, why don't we move G up to the next item of discussion? And basically, we have discussed this information previous, but Mr. Warzika, would you like to just give us an overview for the public and before the council possibly entertains a vote on it?
We did a review on the proposed settlement between the Coventry School Department and the SRP individuals, and we were looking at a budgetary item of 2% raise for this year, 2.5% next year, and 2.5% in the third year. There's also a change from 13 to 15% in their medical contributions in the third year of the proposed contract, as well as some wording changes and some cleanup in the contract that make things just a little bit neater. It's a very good proposal. I think it's a good contract, proposed contract, and I'd recommend that the council approves it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McGee, comment?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I think personally that the SRP is the backbone of the school department, and I think that they deserve as much support as we've given the CTA and every other union, so I totally support this contract.
Okay. You're not up for election this November, are you? Mr. McGee? Okay. I've also heard that our legal counsel has reviewed the contract language, and we've gotten word back that it's definitely appropriate language changes. All we have to do is, obviously, the funding from year to year, and it's a 3-year contract. But Mr. Warzika, any additional comments on that? Because I know you talked to Mr. Regasta on that.
Mr. Regast is satisfied with the changes.
Okay.
He feels they're appropriate. They're primarily cleanup, and no additional cost to the town or the school department because of them, so.
Okay, and I know that this affects, well, not only all of Coventry School Department, but it's 236 employees is the number I was given tonight. Mr. LeBassiniere?
I'd just like to make a motion that we ratify the contract.
Okay. All right, a motion was made and seconded by Mrs. Carlson. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, so at this point, if anyone wanted to take a minute or two to exit.
Or stay.
Or stay. I'm not saying you have to, but this would be a little 2-minute break before we resume. Congratulations and good luck. I'm trying real hard to be on. Okay, thank you for the pause in the regular meeting now. Next on the agenda, we have C. We have C, consent agenda, and we'll take them basically one at a time, I believe, although sometimes we could do consent, all of them, but I think we should do one at a time. So, number one, we have appointments to the Friends of Human Services. Mr. Bob Robelot had suggested individual names. So I would like to, before we read the resolution, suggest that the Joan Tillinghast and Robert Petraka be nominated for the positions that will expire May 1st, 2020. And then the name of Florence Martinelli would be the name nominated for the advisory board for the term expiring May 1st, 2021. So I'd like to entertain a motion to that effect.
I just want to ask you, I didn't receive any names in my package, and is that because there was only two people, or the same amount of people that we were appointing?
Right.
Because I didn't receive, usually we receive a bunch of names, we interview and speak to people. That didn't happen this time, so I just wanted to know the reason.
Exactly. Well, we didn't get it in a package either, but we had, at the agenda meeting last week, we had been given the names, only these people have applied. And it's what recommended by the Director of Human Services. He is totally in support of these names, and that's why we didn't interview, because there weren't any other applicants.
It
And
would have
it's
been nice
spots
to
that
receive the names in our package, so we'd have had a chance to just to review and ask questions. I like to do my homework, so even though there was only that many people, you know.
So noted.
Okay, thank you.
We could have sent out the names, Mr. Warzika.
On a separate, yeah,
On a separate sheet of paper, not attached to this one.
No, it's
But
to the resolution.
in that basically would have been those three names listed as recommended by the Director of Human Services. And, I apologize, that wasn't done. And I didn't know if the names would be coming or not, to be honest with you, when the package came Friday afternoon.
It's fine if that's all the amount of people that apply.
That's it.
You know, if we had more, obviously.
Right. I hear you. I hear you, but there wasn't. So, yes, Mrs. Carlson?
But we've often had just the same amount of people for however many openings, like 3 openings, 3 people.
Right.
That we've interviewed and chatted with them. I don't understand why the council's supposed to be appointing, not a department head.
Right.
So we're just going to go ahead and appoint these people without even meeting them and knowing who they are?
If you're not comfortable with voting to approve them, that'll be your vote. When I get the director's recommendation of only 3 candidates, and he wants these positions filled, we need them filled, otherwise they're vacant.
I understand.
There are no other candidates. You have a right not to vote for them.
Well, I'm just thinking when it comes to something like planning, zoning.
Right, those are big ones, and
Those
not,
are big ones.
not
If
the
you don't
Friends of
have-
Human
you don't
Services
have-
aren't.
You might have the same situation. And honestly, I wouldn't want to just take the chair or the department head's
Okay.
recommendation. I think this is not, and did we advertise for these in the last month?
They have been advertised in the past, correct?
In the past,
Yeah,
And
but
it's
how
been
long
months.
ago? 6 months?
Do we know how long ago?
No,
It's been
I believe it was,
several months, right? I mean,
I think it was.
Mr. Robelot.
Mr. Robillard, maybe you could shed some light on this tonight, so I don't
I'll
appear
do
to
my
be
best.
the bad guy.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you feel that there needs to delay so you can interview these folks, by all means. I mean,
Okay.
they're great people. There's a reason why I've spoken with every single one of them. Some I see on a daily basis. So I definitely, if you feel that that's the way to go, and I'm totally, okay with any of that, because that's your prerogative. I can tell you that these are upstanding citizens that want to make our center a better place. I've had 3 vacancies in my board out of 9.
Right.
So
That's a third.
Yes, and having a quorum is really important to me.
I hear you.
So it's not with vacations in the summertime. There still has not been a lot of movement with the board. Although there's definitely some movement with the department. So I'm hoping that you folks, in your best judgment, if you feel you need to sit and speak with these great people, I think you should. There are only 3 applicants for the 3 positions out of the 9 that we have.
Right.
So
Okay.
by all means, just on my recommendation, if you feel that you need to speak with them and that's processed, then I'm totally, absolutely 100% behind that, because I think you should meet these people.
Well, hopefully, they might be here tonight to
They are
swear
here,
in.
actually.
Okay.
I asked them to be here, and so did the
I appreciate
council.
your recommendation, and I, for one, am comfortable with your recommendation. And that's why we have the resolution tonight. We've been a lot of other big business, not that this is not important, but I'm very comfortable with the 3 nomination names you've given us. You know them. It's only been 3 that have applied. There's 3 vacancies out of the 9. So thank you for that information. Any other council people want to make a comment, or we'll just,
Yeah, let me just make another comment. I mean, I too, considering that we only had 3 people apply, I too, respect your opinion, and you've interviewed them, but we normally do like to interview, for most boards, just because we want to make sure we get the best qualified person. But you know better than we do, and so considering we only had 3, I do support your decision, but in the future, I'd like to do that.
Thank you.
okay. I understand that. If the majority wants to put it to October 9th on Tuesday and interview the 3 candidates, the only 3 candidates, we can do that. But I don't think that's necessary. That's just my opinion.
Mr. President, I've spoken with the candidates on the past, on my visits to the
Okay.
center in the past before. I'm very comfortable having them there. And,
Okay.
And again, they're volunteer positions, and I certainly want people to help the human services area. So I'm comfortable with that.
All right, so noted for the future on any other positions that come up on Friends of Human Services, that the council of the future might want to interview them, time permitting. But that's noted. That noted, I made a motion then to nominate these individuals. Again, Joan Tillinghast and Robert Petracca for the term that expires May 1st, 2020, and then Florence Martinelli for the term that expires 2021. Do I have a motion to?
Okay, you're looking for a motion.
Oh,
Okay,
to approve.
I'll make a motion to appoint those folks to the appointed positions listed.
Okay, do I have a second?
I will second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, I think that's 4-1 then. All right, very good. If,
you.
are the 3 individuals, I believe you said, Bob, are here? Okay, if you could be so kind to step forward, and I will do the honors of the swearing in. And please watch your step as you come forward. In fact, you can stay right down there nice and flat. I'll jump over the turbulence. If you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful unto this state and support the laws and Constitution thereof and the Constitution of the United States of America, and that you will well and truly execute the office of member of Human Services for the term, Mrs. Martinelli is yourself for 2021, and then Joan Tillinghast for 2020, and Mr. Robert Petracca for 2020, for which you have been appointed in Coventry, Rhode Island, for the term ensuing, or until another be engaged in your place, or until you be legally discharged therefrom, so help you God. All right. Congratulations. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. And, keep up the good work. You've really done a good direction.
They all walked away. I know, they all walked away.
Okay, thank you again for your volunteerism, and thank you for your service to the town. All right, next, we have C2, which is appointment to the sewer subcommittee. We have a resolution for the sewer subcommittee. Mr. Bossinier, would you like to,
Sure.
I know that
yeah,
we
have,
discussed this, that
well,
one candidate.
Sure. Well, Jennifer Ludwig is
She's already
the
on.
alternate, so what we're doing is just moving her from the alternate position into the permanent position, which in essence will leave the two alternate positions open at this point in time, and we'll be looking for two new alternates. So that makes it'll make a complete committee sans the alternates at this point.
Okay, so that would be Jennifer Ludwig, who we have met before, and she has volunteered to become a full member of the sewer subcommittee, and that would be for the term expiring January 1st, 2020.
2020. Yep.
So do I have a motion to approve Jennifer Ludwig?
Yeah, I'll make that motion. She's doing a great job. I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
And I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And is Jennifer here tonight? No. Okay, all right, fine. I believe she can be sworn in at a later time to the town with Mrs. Amatrano. Okay, very good. All righty, so that's C2. C3, we have appointment of John Arnett and our acting town manager, Ed Warzika, to the Municipal Pension Advisory Board.
Board of Trustees. Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
I think you can do 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
And one resolution.
All right, we can, if the council agrees, we have C3, we have C4, which would be the designee, and we have to combine the N with the EE on C4, the first line, John Arnett. And then C5, we have again John Arnett and Edward Zika as appointed to the Police Pension Advisory Board. So that's 3 items, C3, C4, and C5. Do we have any comments or questions, or do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion to approve on all 3 resolutions. Do I have a second? Second. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Bacon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. Thank you, gentlemen, and good luck. I know they're all very important board. We don't have to read them, do we? No. Okay, very good. All right, very good. So we're down to C6 now. And do you want to, Mr. Arnett, why don't we explain this one? It's a resolution we have in front of us. Good evening again.
Good evening, Jim. So this one's actually very, very easy. The fee schedule for the town actually changed from the financial institution. It increased by $4 last year. That just never got changed, so I just changed it back to get our margin for any return checked fees that bounce. That's all that is.
Okay, and this is the fee that the banks are charging us?
Correct.
Okay, so
we get
this is
charged
just
a
break
fee.
even?
Correct. So
Okay.
it was $12, I think it was, being charged to the town. It went up by $4. We charged it back up. So we can actually recoup some of that cost too. Because we do incur some costs on the town side for processing that as well, so.
Okay, I think, is that not more like $26?
26 and 30.
Up to 30.
26 to 30, so
We
$4.
get, our cost from the bank just went up by $4.
Correct.
Last year, and we're just increasing it by the $4.
Correct.
To keep our, just like John said, to keep our margin the same of what we were.
Exactly.
Okay, I was just talking about the total cost.
Yeah, that is the actual going.
Right.
But what John's
The total
speaking
cost.
about is what the bank charges the town,
Correct.
Right.
and then the town has to also incurs additional costs.
Oh, I got you, all right.
Correct.
All right,
That's
so-
why the additional fee up to $20
Okay.
to $30.
All right. Well, I understand that, and the only thing on this resolution is a typo on, the fourth paragraph down, United States. I think you have to add a T there, Mrs. Amatrano, on United States banks. Missing one T, it's SACE or something like that. You got it? Yes? Okay, page 93.
Right.
With that,
Motion to approve.
okay, motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, very good, thank you. All right, so we are done now with C, and yes, Mrs. Bacon.
Would we be able to move the public hearing
Item F.
to the new?
Item F. I think if that's your request, I think there's no reason why we couldn't. We'll take, at this time, F, which is the public hearing for discussion and/or action. It's for a new Class B liquor license with vitrilling by KL Restaurant Incorporated, doing business as Seven Moons of Coventry. So the council okay with moving that up?
Yes.
All right, very good. Then do I have a motion to go into a public hearing?
So, second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, are the business owners here tonight? If you could come forward and, for the record, if you could introduce yourselves so that our town clerk can get that.
Mr. President, members of the council, my name is Valentino Di Lombardi. My law office is at 959 Mineral Spring Avenue, North Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
And I represent KL Restaurant, Inc., the petitioner for the Class BV license
All right.
at 856 Tioga. My client is Mr. Zen Kaolegi, and we thank the board for the opportunity to appear and address any concerns and answer any questions the council might have. Mr. Lee presently operates a successful restaurant, Seven Moons of North Kingston. He is planning to operate this facility, Seven Moons Coventry, the former location of the Mai Tai. This establishment will be mainly a restaurant. The reason for the liquor license is to provide dining clientele with the ability to purchase a pre-dinner cocktail, wine or beer with their meal, and possibly an after-dinner drink. It would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to operate a fine dining facility without a full liquor license. The petitioner is tipped or stop certified and will be all of the restaurant's employees who serve liquor. He will be principally running the business. He has a wealth of business experience, which will be a great asset. His knowledge of the business that pertains to the operation of a restaurant with a liquor license and his understanding of responsibility to maintain the utmost care in the area to protect the general public. He also believes that this area is in need of this type of restaurant since the closing of the former Mai Tai. We realize the council must be very protective of the public welfare in determining whether to allow the issuance of a full liquor license and respect the work that they perform. We believe that the petitioner has alleviated the council's concerns. Thank you, and my client is here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And sir, would you like to say anything to the council regarding coming into our town? I know that a couple of us, if not all of us, have been to your Seven Moons down in North Kingstown on Post Road. Very, very well attended and excellent service. Could I ask how long you've been in North Kingstown?
4 years.
Just 4 years. Geez, I would have thought it would have been longer than that. Okay, but four good years. No problems down there. I just, you're getting everything in order pending on us approving this liquor license. I just have a question of the, our town administration. Does that surrender the Mai Tai?
That was gone. No,
It already surrendered.
It already did. That's what I thought
They
too.
had
Okay.
They had failed to renew.
Yes, that's what I thought, so I just wanted to confirm it. Okay,
This is correctly noticed as a new.
yes, all right,
Mike's.
yep, Mike's, and, all right, I got my mic. That's all right, Nick, it's correctly noticed.
I was trying to be so brief that I wouldn't need
All right, all right,
Anyway.
okay, and, lastly, do we know, as far as, issuing a new license, has the former owner paid all taxes due to the town?
The taxes have been paid, the sewer has been brought up to date and been reclaimed.
Really?
The only thing that's not on there, and the only question I would have, is the equipment that was formerly in the building. Are you gonna be still reusing that or not? Or are you putting new equipment in?
Kitchen, we keep the most of kitchen equipment, but the dining equipment, we're gonna change all the dining.
So you're keeping the kitchen equipment, and the dining will be all new?
All right, there are first quarter tangibles that are due, so you might wanna just take care of that. That's the only thing, but everything else is all good. I checked on it today.
On the kitchen equipment?
Yeah, on the kitchen equipment, they'll have to pay the tangibles on that because it's gonna be reused from the old business. And that, the
Okay.
full tangible was $300 and change. So that's gonna be even less than that.
Less than that.
I did all the research.
Okay, very good. Well, you've been
That'll be
wearing a
taken care of,
lot of hats.
Mr. President.
I'm sure you will. And again, we're delighted that you're coming to Coventry. I know there is competition within the town, but we like competition. When you can't get in one place, or you maybe prefer the new place. So I just wondered if there's any other comments or questions of the other council people.
Yes, I just a quick comment or question. You're well aware of all the laws and regulations we have concerning our drinking establishments and the zoning and everything on, are you aware of it?
Yes, he
Okay,
is
okay.
aware of the establishment. We've discussed that, and he's prepared to go forward and abide by the rules and regulations.
Okay, great.
and the
Welcome to the
charter.
town.
Very good. I know that, and I've seen it almost daily, all the renovations, not that I've gone inside, but
He's doing quite a bit there.
you've had people very busy over the last month or two or three. So any idea when you might be opening up for like a ribbon cutting? Or don't you know yet?
Open. When do you think to be open?
Around November.
November, okay, all right, that's really good, that's really good, that's very encouraging, and I think you're gonna have a lot of residents trying to get in for the first week or two, so, okay. I thank you very much for coming out, and at this time then, Mr. LeBossinier?
No, actually, the public hearing is open.
Well, that's true. We haven't voted yet. You're right.
Anybody has anything to
Questions,
say?
comments of the public? Thank you for stepping forward. Any questions of the residents or the public here regarding the new restaurant opening up, Seven Moons, right there on Tioga Avenue, the former Mai Tai? If not, motion then maybe to close.
Yeah, motion to
public.
close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, a
I'll
motion
make a
to
motion
approve
to
then.
approve the license.
All right, second to approve the license.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. So, well, good luck. And we hope everything else goes smooth so we can go on in and come November, before Thanksgiving. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good luck.
Good luck to you. All right, so we moved that up. Now let's go back to D. We have D1. Mr. Warzika, or is there someone to speak on this matter regarding the Payne House? They're coming up, okay. Very good. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Faye Edwards. I'm on the board at Payne House.
Okay, yes, I see the name here written in front of us. And you're a Coventry resident?
I am not, no, I'm in West Greenwich. I'm just a member of the board at Payne House.
Okay, very good, very good. Have you looked into Coventry as far as most? I know, West Greenwich is really nice.
Yes, it is.
Kevin Breen would miss you. All right, so this is an application to hold the event, Historic Brass Band for the 29th, this coming weekend, huh?
Correct. It's our annual Heritage Days.
Excellent.
And there'll be a lot. We have hot dogs for the kids. We have chips. We have candle making for the kids.
Great.
A lot of games. We have an old 1700s loom that had been relegated to the barn for years, and it's been restored and put into the house, and so we'll have actually somebody weaving cloth.
Really? Wow.
So
Wow,
it
terrific.
should be a very nice
great.
day.
Very good, very good. And this is just a one-day
It's
permit?
a one-day thing. It's from 10 to 3.
10 to 3, all right, I was gonna ask that. From 10 to 3 PM. Any,
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of activity. I mean, I live right up the street, so I'm by it all the time. I've toured it many times, and boy,
Stop by.
it's looking great, I'll tell you. It's, they're doing a lot of work on the outside. I've seen,
Yes.
especially, and I don't know if if I'll be able to get there for that one, but I certainly want to see that loom working. you know.
Yes, it's going to be really, really great.
Fantastic.
We're very proud of that.
Great.
Can I have a quick question?
will there be admission?
No admission, no.
No, okay, so it's just open, free to the public.
Free to the public.
Okay, Mr. McGee, you have a
Yeah, so
question?
is this your main fundraiser, or it's free, so you're not raising any funds to it?
Well, they will have hot dogs and they'll have sodas and things like that, but
Well, I think-
there's no admission charge.
Well, I think it's great that you're doing this for the people of the town, and I'd like to request that we waive the fee for you guys, so you can put it towards the cost.
Thank you very much. That's much appreciated.
So, well, I guess we'll make a motion,
motion.
waiving, to approve with no fee.
Second.
Okay, motion
Most
to
everybody
approve
second.
and to waive the fee, and 2 seconds. Very good, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Has the fee been paid yet, Mrs. Amatrano? If not, they don't have to. And if they have,
If they have, buy them a pack of hot dogs.
we
they
gotta
can
give
sell.
it back. All right,
Good luck.
thank you, good
so
luck.
much.
Thank you, Faye.
Hopefully, everything goes well. We won't even talk about inclement weather, but I'm sure it's going either way. You'll have a tent if you need it, but
Yeah.
let's hope it's a nice sunny
It should be
day.
fine.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Best of luck to you. All right, next we have D2. Mr. Warzika, you want to introduce this one? I know it's an application by Genesis LLC. Are the proprietors here? Okay, very good. Come forward then. And if you could, for the record, introduce yourselves.
Okay, so my name is Marlene Torreira, and this is my daughter who has worked with me to make sure that we're gonna have everything ready for this new business that we are looking for.
Okay, Pereira, right?
Yes.
And can I just educate me, what type of business is it?
I have some folder over here, if I can,
Sure.
pass for you guys.
That'd be great. That'd be good. We didn't really have any additional information outside of the name and the address.
Okay, so what you have that we'd like to open the way it is. If we have some extra, if you wanna pass around, please. Yes, we wanna open the way it is over there. The only thing that we'd like to add, is the Brazilian barbecue. It's a roasting.
When are you opening?
Yeah, as soon as we have everything done.
This is so unfair. 7 moons and this. So
Now,
Sorry.
I gotta say, this is District 4 again. This is very pleasingly surprising.
Excuse me, I think it's District 2 now.
No,
Absolutely.
And 7 moons is 5.
that's on the line. Coventry Drive, Coventry Drive, that part, isn't
Some
that
people like to
right?
take credit for everything.
Yes, I think it is. All right, that's all right. Now, is it District 2 now?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. Well, it's really nice. Now,
We'll
tell
fight
us
for
again,
you.
because that hasn't come
It's okay.
forward.
We cross
What
lines.
what type of business? Because I haven't seen it yet. I know it's still coming. It is a barbecue business.
The Brazilian.
Brazilian barbecue.
Yes, it's gonna be
Braza.
new in the area, yes.
Very good. Oh,
What building is it?
Yeah.
They don't have that in Virginia.
George's Spears is his place
that
where
the-
he
is
used
that-
to be the Captain Nemo.
Oh, okay.
All right.
okay, Captain Nemo. Are you gonna have to do it additions? Hopefully in the future you may. Otherwise, I know that building well, and that's great news, because we've been waiting for something to come in there. And as far as the information goes, when do you think? Any idea when you might be able to open, or don't you know?
We would like at the latest end of October.
Oh, that even beats
So
November
far.
1st?
Fantastic.
All right. So you're working on open license once the license is granted. Hours, there'll be no, there's just victualling, no liquor served.
Not yet,
Okay, not yet. But, so the request tonight is just to, for the food?
yes.
Okay, got it. And hours, have you set hours yet? Of, what are you thinking about?
Yes, I think about the 7 to 8 p.m. because, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
Because
Okay.
we're not in the beginning.
See how it
but,
goes.
We just want to make sure that we're gonna have the time
Right.
set up for the breakfast.
Very good.
As soon as when we started, we would like also to serve.
So breakfast will be also
Yes, but it's
one of the,
not in the beginning because we want to make sure that we're gonna have all
Right.
the stuff setting.
so
and
definitely
comfortable.
lunch and dinner for sure.
Yes.
All right. And there'll be some seated booths as well as takeouts, or no? Is it all,
It's gonna be both.
both?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Lunch.
Mr. Warzika.
All right.
That's right, it's close to the town hall.
Well, they got me hungry and I gotta get home to eat, so I'll make
All
a
right.
motion that we approve this license.
Second that.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck.
Good luck to you.
Good luck to you, and we will be stopping in.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Let us know when the ribbon cutting is. All right, District 2. All right. We are done with D now. Let's move right along. We have E, Section E, resolutions for discussion and/or action. Number 1, Mr. Warzika, or is it, who would be discussing this one? Is it Mr. McGee or
No.
Mr. Warzika?
Bob Joyle's here.
Bob Joyle, okay, Mr. Joyle, if you could come forward then and just fill us in. I know that we have 3 under E1, 3 different locations. And the sewer subcommittee has recommended all of these, right? Very good. Anything else to add, or is it
They're practically self-explanatory.
okay?
Now, were we waiting for a letter from West Warwick or something on one? Did we got all the appropriate?
The one on ours, the one from the town for the ball field is
Yeah.
it's still conditional on, we're working with, getting final on the Phase 2 piece of it.
Oh, okay, all right. But, yeah, everything was conditional, and so we can approve
Right, 'cause
conditionally.
yes.
Okay.
You're still waiting for a letter?
Well,
Well,
we're working, finalizing the engineering piece of it.
Yeah, it was approved conditionally on that, for the next phase of that by the subcommittee. And I didn't know, what the timetable was to receive that, but we spoke about it
Okay.
at the last subcommittee meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes.
Can I just ask, is the Washington Street, is that the one that was on our last council meeting and was pulled?
That was Dr. Glom's office,
was the
right
one,
there.
yes.
Okay.
And it was, yeah. And I don't can't remember why it was pulled.
It was originally pulled because there was a lack of a possible quorum.
Oh, yeah,
And in
sewer
overabundance of
subcommittee.
caution,
That's
they
what it was.
wanted to revote to make sure.
They wanted to
there was
revote,
no
make
issue.
sure it's official.
Okay.
All right, so, and all three have been recommended for approval. All right, and
Well, do we take them just as one or individually, or?
take them all together,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
It's
Well, I make-
E1.
All right, well, I make a motion that we approve the sewer tie-ins listed in E1.
Okay, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Joyal. Appreciate it. All right, now we have, the next on the agenda is E2. E2, and that is the award for bid of the asphalt pavement improvements for a portion of Hazard Street. Mr. Warzika, you want to?
Actually,
Mr.
Mr. McGee.
McGee, okay? Fill us in on this one. If you could, please. Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to see everybody's been in a positive mood tonight, so hopefully we can carry it right through.
Let's hope.
Come on, Karen. Your last time to beat up on me, I know. This is before you this evening. This council had decided to terminate the contract on Hazard Street, as rightfully so. It's about 52% completed. When the funding went through for the sewer contract, it was done through the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, which had a 10% requirement for minority business.
Right.
Or DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. The contractor, John Rocchio Corporation, had their DBE portion of it as the asphalt paving for the project. When it was completed at the 52% mark, the contractor, their subcontractor, indicated that they would not reduce their price. It was going to be the full $60,000, even though we're only doing half the job. So the town, with Mr. Tebow, myself, and Mr. Waters, said, no, we're not going to pay double just because we're at the end of it. We looked at it. We would, when the time came right, we would go out to bid and bid it as a minority project so that we could, in fact, meet the requirements of the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. We went out to bid. We had 4 bidders. 2 of the bidders were not certified 100% MBE companies. They were disqualified. There were 2 bidders, and we're recommending Lucina Brothers in the resolution as the lowest qualified bidder. They've done work throughout Woonsocket, West Warwick, and they're a capable asphalt paving contractor and utility work.
Okay. So that's the MBE is.
That's the MBE
minority
requirement. We will
business?
have met the MBE requirement for the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank reimbursement.
Okay. And that's 32,165.
Correct. And we had budgeted around $30,000. We thought it would be half, which is what should have been,
Right.
and it's about the 52% where it should be.
Okay, all right. Any questions regarding this resolution?
I just have a question about the MBA issue, because.
MBE, yes.
MBE.
Minority Business Enterprise, yes.
Just say MBA, forget it.
It's okay.
Minority business.
So I noticed that Nunes is, RT Nunes is MBE certified?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Why? How?
Well,
I mean, I know I looked at,
Well, actually, believe it or not, I was there when we became certified as a
Yeah.
company, and they are 100% Portuguese owned, which falls within the MBE requirements.
right, and that's one of the things on the requirements I did see, or
Correct.
the list.
So they are a certified minority, but their price was not the lowest qualified bidder. Right.
Okay, thank you. All right. And our Ribby has a 10% requirement.
Yes.
Now, have we, I don't know why I don't remember this, but have we ever had this come up before, where we hired?
We've never stopped a contract where that portion of the requirement for MBE or DBE had not been met yet, because we stopped the contract. All other MBE requirements were done because the projects were completed. And that was done through the finance office, and they qualified through the reimbursement for Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? If not,
I just have one question. And I understand we have to do it. I guess, in case folks are wondering why we're not going with the lowest qualified bidder, which was with Hartford for the 24,000.
Right.
We have to go with the minority-owned
Yeah.
business. So that's putting an additional $7,300 that we're going to have to spend.
Well, again, we had budgeted $30,000 as what we anticipated, and the bid came in very close to that. Cardi Corporation and Hartford Paving are not minority businesses.
Yeah, yes,
Yep. Right.
yep. But in case folks are wondering why we're not going with,
Believe me, I would rather go with the
yeah,
lowest, but.
with the
you know,
lowest
we
qualified
need to-
bidder,
we
which
need to
was,
get
yep.
reimbursed.
So with
For the
going,
reimbursement purposes. Okay. Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
oh, I got a question. I have one more
Okay,
question.
that's what I-
Is
go
the
ahead.
entire street being paved
No.
or? well,
No, it's not. It's only going to be what the sewer work was done.
Done.
And it's going to stop at that point.
Okay, so is the rest of the street dug up also,
No,
or is
no,
it just,
no.
okay,
We
so it's
stopped at
just
that point
where?
where the council said stop, and that's where we stopped.
Stop.
Okay.
Should it be paved? Yes, but I don't have the money to do that. so.
Right. Okay, all in favor then of this resolution?
Need a motion?
Made a motion, who wants to make a motion then?
I'll make that motion.
All right, second? Any second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All in favor?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Don't go anywhere, Kev.
E2, don't go away, Kevin. E3, this has been before, sort of, in the past. Why don't you inform us of this one?
Yes, this is for the Upper Pond Dam reconciliation. When Mr. Hoover was the town manager at the time, we had a estimate on a range of what the cost would be from a consulting engineer, Fuss and O'Neill, between $350,000 to $750,000. Mr. Hoover, being conservative, rightly so, decided to go in the middle and
Right.
took the judgment bond on at $550,000, with the understanding that we hadn't gone out to bid yet, it hadn't been designed, that it may in fact have to go over and come back for more money. We went out to bid initially with Fuss and O'Neill. The bids came in astronomically high, $634,000, I believe was the lowest bid then. We went back out to redesign, did some value engineering, and the lowest qualified bid came in at $573,100, which this council awarded to T. Ford Corporation. Fuss and O'Neill was the design contractor for this through the entire project. So we had an award of $573,100 for the original contract. I was able to get a change order, which was a credit change order, doing some value engineering. We had a reduction by $33,000 for a net contract cost of $539,935. We've paid them to date $464,770. We still owe them $75,165. The engineering cost was $89,285. We've paid $84,841. We have an amount balance due to them about $4,443. The bond cost initially was $15,000. We have two options to do this extension or this additional bond. We can either do a standalone bond requisition, which the bond counsel, Karen Grandy and Steve Massaroni, suggested we don't do because it's a high amount for such a small amount.
Right.
Or we could do a standalone, that would be the standalone, or we can bundle it when we make the requirement for the police station human services building. When that next one comes up, we could add this bond as an additional, so the only paperwork would be much less, and it would only cost us about $5,000 for cost of issuance. So the town would save approximately $8,000 by doing that. We can do it standalone and do the $12,000, which is part of what we need. It still comes out to about a little over $100,000, which would balance the budget out, which is contractually for the engineering, for the construction work, and for the bond cost of issuance.
Okay, and just clarification, doesn't touch any of the money that goes to the police station and human services.
absolutely not. Two
This
separate
is
things. Just two different
connected
bonds.
Financially.
Correct.
You're gonna make, yeah. Mr.
Yep.
Warzika, did you want, I know that you have information additionally to this too.
The bonding cost on this, as I found out with the refinancing the last one, can vary. They're just estimates, and that's why we're looking for approval for the higher amount.
Right.
It seems a lot higher, but we're not going to be utilizing all of that. Once we have the finalized amounts on the issuance cost, we will bring that additional money down to that level. But I'd rather be safe than sorry, not knowing what's going to happen once we actually start doing it, and make sure there's no additional cost that we haven't foreseen on this thing.
Yeah, there's, as Mr. Warzika indicated, there's no other work being done. The job, they're there putting the new seed down today and tomorrow. We're completed.
So the work is completed?
The work is done.
All right.
So
All right.
there's no other cost to us.
Just paying it.
Bond counsel suggested adding the additional amount because the cost for 100,000 or 150,000 was the same amount of money for the bond issuance
Okay.
cost. They said, there, leave it there. If you don't need it for that project, because it's specific for that project, then you're not. It's going to be probably less than 100,000 by the time we get done.
Right.
But we're being safe that the 100,000, I think it's 103,000, John, that we think it's going to cost for
Good.
the balance.
So.
And it's nice to get it done, yes.
If I may, Mr. Rozika, then it's a no-brainer then to have it put into one, two judgment bonds, but have it put under one issuing.
The one issuance will save us some issuance costs, which can be outrageous. So
And
to
it
do
has
it
no
in
effect on any of the
Yeah,
projects.
we're just
Both
gonna
have-
hold off until we actually issue that $7 million, and we'll do it at that point. But yeah, and like I said, and we won't, like I said, we won't be taking the 150 out. We'll be taking what we need out only. Yes, we will. Yep, as soon as we have those final number, we'll give you
Now, do
that.
we get to retire the extra amount if it's not needed?
I would defer that to the finance
No,
director.
that's why we
I'm
won't
sure
take it.
is.
That's why we
won't take
will
it.
not take it out, because that causes an issue. We will take out what we need to
Okay,
take
so
out.
we're approved for
Up
the
to
150,
here, exactly.
but we're only going to take out
Well, we
what
actually
need.
issue it, it'll
So
be
the actual
exactly-
price of the bond
And that's
bond will
what, and that's
be
what the resolution
exactly-
says, up
Right.
to 150,
Exactly
not
what
150.
we take.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, not exceeding. Very good. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be still my heart. Thank you.
Be still your heart.
Okay, don't go away yet.
Wow.
E4. E4, we have in front of us. And fill us in on this one now. I know the date's got to change on the resolution.
Yeah.
We originally asked,
Yeah, the 27th of August. I know.
Correct.
So hopefully it'll be the 24th day of September. But fill us in again on this.
sure. Back during the budget process, we had 3 vehicles, but these are only for 2 of them, that we knew were not going to make it. Subsequently, one, the building inspector's office vehicle is now off the road, is totally unusable. Its cost right now is about $16,000 to get it fixed, and it's valued from the Kelly Blue Book at about $1,400. And it also, and that's what we could do.
Ouch.
The frame is actually rotted, and we can't fix the frame. So it's a 21-year-old vehicle, and it's not worth putting it into. We've gotten our money's worth, and what we put, when we went in for the budgets, the director, I put in $20,000 replacement vehicles for both town engineer's vehicle and for the building inspector's vehicle, to buy used vehicles. During the process, the town manager suggested that we go into a lease package for the new vehicle for the public works, which will come up later, and then these 2 vehicles.
But it's to buy.
To buy, yeah, it's to buy them, right.
Yeah, they're just not
They
confused.
Yeah, what we're looking at is 2016 used vehicles.
Right.
To buy them.
Okay.
Unfortunately, those are approved. They're approved by the town manager, by this council, and by the voters at the financial town meeting. So that's in the budget for us. It's not anything extra. This is what we already foresaw as needing for replacement vehicles, because 21-plus year vehicles are done. It's done. They're rotting away.
Okay.
So we're asking that for you to approve what's already in our budget to purchase 2.
And that it has been approved.
And it has been approved,
Okay,
yes.
questions? Mrs. Carlson?
Well, yeah, sort of. I haven't, well, I won't be here, but I haven't seen a vehicle inventory in a couple of years. Remember, you gave me one, and it included all departments, including the PD. I think it'd be helpful.
We have the most recent one's December 31st of 2017 updated. We haven't received any new vehicles since then.
Okay, all right,
But yeah,
because
we
I
do have
think
that.
it's good to see that, what our fleet, total town fleet consists of.
I don't want you to cry, because if you saw the ages of some of our vehicles, it's absolutely astounding that we're actually even able to operate. We have a road grader that we do all the western end. It's a 32-year-old keep trying to put back together. We have compressors that are over 30 years old, trucks that we're plowing the roads with that are 18 to 22 years old.
Yeah.
It's, even though we get them painted, doesn't mean that they're all, we fix the rot, put paint on them so they can preserve them, but they're still that old and they're falling apart. But you really don't want to see that list, I'll be happy to provide it. We have that available.
Got a couple days here.
We can have it for you tomorrow morning.
Thanks.
These two vehicles, I went over and took a look at them. Kevin had one of them up on the lift, and he called me over, and this vehicle does not belong on the road, and that's why it's off. It is a hazard to the operator. The other vehicle that's going to be replaced is the one for the town engineer, and that vehicle is in nearly the same condition. It's a mess.
It needs a $2,000 front end, and it's only valued at $1,000. And God, we haven't even brought it up in the air yet to look at the rot on it, so.
Are these vehicles ready now, Tasca, to
Well,
purchase?
they were on the 27th, so.
On the 27th of August, they haven't
They
sold
were
them.
ready. I mean, again, I'm confident because when we looked at it, for this price of basically $17,000 each for a 2-year-old vehicle, we can find that.
Just asking. Okay, another question?
I just wanted to make, that was one of my questions. The Tasca receipt we have is dated 7/18. So are these two vehicles
They
still?
were available as I just indicated, they were
Yeah.
available then.
That's.
But when we looked at them, the price range for 2016 Ford Escapes was in that 17 plus. And we were able to negotiate the lower price by buying two vehicles.
Okay, yeah, because one has 30,000 miles, the other one has 25,000.
Yes.
And on here, it says, the box that it, for checked off, former use. Do you know what the former use was for
They're
these?
lease vehicles. Tasca only indicated they were lease vehicles.
Okay,
They
yeah,
came
because
off
it
of- they came off
doesn't,
a
you know,
lease.
they have it, but they didn't fill it
Yeah.
in, so I didn't know. And also, the terms of the warranty, it says the other side for that, but we don't have that. What is the warranty for these two vehicles?
The warranty will be 30 days unless we buy an extended warranty.
Okay, so that's it. They don't
It is-
have,
Well, the balance, so it'll be 30 days from them and balance of whatever's left in the warranty, so
okay, so do we have a copy of that warranty?
we're not at that point yet, so.
Okay, and then my other question, I guess this is probably not for you, Kevin, it's probably for Nick. On page 158, Santander, the Santander Bank, it says that the amount financed is for 76,757.
That's correct.
And it's for the two used vehicles and one new.
Pickup truck. That
The
was
pickup
also
truck with
approved.
the plow.
That was also approved in the financial town meeting and in the budget. But the president indicated that he only wanted to put the used vehicles on the agenda now, so that's what we're in front of you now for, is the two used vehicles. We will come back at a different time.
You meant the town manager?
I'm sorry?
Did you say the town manager, or?
No, I meant you, Mr. President. I mean, we get asked to have the new pickup put on the agenda, but we haven't done that yet, so.
Oh, these are the ones you need in the timeline and have to get them done.
Yeah, and the other one also is a 20-year-old vehicle that's.
That was the one that it went on the master price agreement instead of being
Right.
bid.
The state
So it's
MPA.
gonna go
Yeah.
back out to bid, so
Go
we
back
get it
out to bid, okay.
So does this all, does this change at all, the financing? Because the interest rate is 3.51. Does that make a difference with the?
No, when I talked to Santana, they'll hold that rate, the same as they did with the police department.
Yep.
Okay. Yes?
Yeah, it's all part of, it's
All
on the
right.
same deal with them.
I would
Same rate.
recommend going shopping quickly because
Right.
they've lost 40,000 vehicles in the Carolinas. They're going to be,
I've been trying, man.
used cars are going to be at a premium again like they were last time.
Maybe what, October?
Huh?
Next
What?
meeting? Okay. All right. There no other questions then, motion to
Motion
approve this?
to approve.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Mr. President, I just got one quick question while we're on it. I mean, it's been approved. Why are we not using a master plan? What do they call that?
MPA, master price
MPA,
agreement
why
from
are we
state.
not using that? We've bought vehicles in the past and they're well below anything that we have bought. Why are we not doing that?
Well, I think it's just to be doubly sure that we can't get a better price that's under that. Otherwise, you can always for the MPA. Right?
Do they have the master price for
We have-
used cars?
I'm sorry?
Not used, not used.
These would be, the pickup truck would be a when
You
new
asking
vehicle.
for the new one?
Yeah, the
Gary?
one that we did not put on the agenda tonight. I'm just curious to know.
Right, see if we can get a better
Is
price.
that it? Okay.
All right. I think that was.
Thank you.
That was the discussion.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
The town manager does.
Okay.
All right, so we did
It's everything, looks like public comment.
Okay, public comment, and we're down to H, general public comment, if there is any. General public comment, yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Charlotte Porter.
bring down that
I
mic.
live at 26 Sandra Circle.
Yep.
I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm still fighting for the asphalt plants that are killing us back there. And I have a court document from December 26 of 2016, written by you, Nick. And it says the defendant's use of the 75 Airport Road property as a hot mix asphalt plant is not permitted in the I-1 zone and constitutes a violation of the Coventry zoning ordinance. 23, the defendant's use of the property as a hot mix asphalt plant does not constitute a pre-existing non-conforming use. And number 24, based on the use to which defendants have put their property to wit on a hot asphalt plant, which is in violation of the Coventry zoning ordinance, Coventry seeks judicial aid for the enforcement of its zoning ordinance to prohibit and eliminate those illegal activities conducted at or on the defendant's property at 75 Airport Road. So if I could get some answers on this, because
I believe that lawsuit pertains to what was called the Miosi plant, which shut down some time ago after we went back to court, and actually the town council vacated a consent judgment, which I considered flawed because it actually had never been approved by the town council. And after the town council vacated that consent judgment, I immediately went to court and asked the court, I'm sorry, after the council rejected the consent judgment, which they had never had a chance to vote on, I went to court and asked the Superior Court to vacate that judgment, because that judgment was what gave Miosi the recognition of it being a legal non-conforming use. The Superior Court agreed and vacated the judgment. Shortly after that, Miosi announced their plan to move to, I believe, the Quonset Business Park in North Kingstown. However, they still were, in my view, going to represent to subsequent purchasers of that property, they have it for sale, I think it's for sale right now, that it was a legal non-conforming use, and we thought it was incumbent on the town, if not only for the current owner, but for those who might buy, to put the world on notice that the town believed and was willing to enforce it in court, that that was not a legal non-conforming use. And I still believe that. So the lawsuit was brought. They brought a lawsuit in U.S. District Court where they sought injunctive and all kinds of other relief. All of that was denied. That case they voluntarily dismissed, Miosi. But the case is still in litigation. I don't want to talk about it much more than I did just now. They've brought a counterclaim, I think, against the town in that lawsuit that we brought. There hasn't been that much activity on the case, and it is being defended by the Interlocal Risk Management Trust, our insurer. So you're absolutely right. That's what I wrote. I stand by it. I believe it. I think we're right. I don't think it was ever a legal non-conforming use at all. And and I think the council agreed. They vacated the consent judgment.
okay, so I-1, they're zoned I-1, so why is Pasture Rock there?
That I don't want to get into too much, but I'd say that is a different situation.
But it's still I-1. It's
It's
not.
I-1, but I believe that now, you're asking me to go, you know what? I really don't want to comment on that in open. I can only say that the facts pertaining to Pastor Yak are different. And that's about as far as I want to go during
Okay,
public
but
comment.
it's
With
still
all due
illegal
respect
for
to you.
them to be there.
Excuse me?
As far as the ordinance is they shouldn't
If
be
the
there.
ordinance, well, there's not just an ordinance. There's also a state law that was passed that says that there shall not be any asphalt plants anywhere in the town of Coventry within, I think it's either 2,000 or 4,000 feet of any residential neighborhood, if I'm not mistaken. But there's those laws were passed, at least the state law, that was passed after Pastor Yak and his predecessors began operating their asphalt plant there.
So it's killing the people and they don't belong there, really.
I'm just not going to comment on it anymore.
All right, you've said that a few times. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Glenn?
other public comment?
No, can I just ask?
Yeah,
can
sure,
we have
go
a
ahead.
meeting? Can we set up a meeting like we were going to with the folks down
Yeah,
in that area?
we've had meetings with
Yeah.
the people who live in Westwood regarding this problem. I'm always, of course. I mean,
Okay,
if
thank you.
a council member asks me to do it, I will do it. So.
Okay, yes.
Hi, Kate Whittinghill, 586 Old Main Street. So, I had talked with, some time ago, not knowing anything about this asphalt plant, and I don't know if you guys know this, because this information was given to Graham Waters when he was town manager. So I was curious, and I don't know if I told you about this or not, but I was curious about this asphalt plant. You know, I hadn't seen it, I didn't know anything about it, but I heard that there was some possible danger to the waters in the town. Okay, possible, I don't know. What do I know? So I asked where it was and was given the address of 75 Airport Road. So I put it in my GPS and I followed it, and I come up to this dead end, which is a little circle. So here's 75 Airport Road. And there's houses around, and there's woods, and I'm like, well, where the heck is this asphalt plant? So this is me, and you may not like it, but this is me. I don't care if you like it or not. I decided to take a little walk through the woods and see if the asphalt plant was there. And there it was. So I said, okay, this is it, and I see what's going on, you know. And I see in the woods a lot of things dumped, okay, in the woods. Now, here's the scary part. Here's the weird part. I'm walking back to my car, I see a truck, and I say, is that truck just, you know, left there, or, you know, has it been dumped there, or what's going on with this truck? So I walk towards the truck, and it starts to move. And I thought, ooh, that's a little scary. But I walked towards the truck. And there's a man in the truck backing up like this, so I don't see him. I continue to walk up. And I said, oh, what's going on? And he said, I was gonna dump this. And it was a 5-gallon of something. I didn't see what was inside. So I left, and I had his license plate, and I gave it to Graham. And he forwarded my email to DEM. And of course, I said in this letter, that I sent him, I don't want anyone to be in trouble. I don't want this guy to lose a job. But if he is there to dump something illegally, and he doesn't do it because someone is staring at him, and he backs up his truck so I don't see him, and it's very suspicious. And then the email goes to DEM, and then Graham gets back to me and says, DEM says, well, you didn't see anything, it didn't really happen, so nothing's going on. Something's going on. So if they're dumping, and it has anything to do with the health of the people there in the water, it's something to just think about, is all I'm saying. Did I go to have any of this happen? No, it just happened, you know. I didn't do an Aaron Brockovich. I just went over there, and that's what happened. So I would like that to be known to the council.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, public comment? Yes, good evening.
My name is Richard Reynolds, and I live at Village Green, 501. There's one issue I have with the town, is the fact that we don't receive any benefits whatsoever. And I have a letter was given to me by Mr. Hoover a few years ago. And he said, although the town has a right to tax us, any private land or public land, they also, we have, the road cannot be considered a public highway unless it's declared so by the community's town council. That's you. So you determine whether that road is private or not. Because all the arguments I have with you, the same thing. We butt our heads against a private road. It's not public. But he says here that you guys can determine whether that's a public road or a private road. If you'd like to see the letter, I can show it to you. That's my issue on that. We pay the taxes. Nothing is given to us in return. We are like living in another town, although we are citizens of Coventry. I would very much like to have you people put something together for us so we can determine.
Okay.
Part of the town is here and part of the town is here. What we want to do is bring the town up to level. We're all living in Coventry. We're all paying taxes in Coventry. There's no issue on anything else. It's not one side pays the taxes and the other side does, and we don't get anything. Why?
Mr. Reynolds, again, there's reasons that the town doesn't want to make those a public roads, but Mr. Gorham can fill you in on a little bit more information, because I know it's been talked about for years.
The developer of the project, Mr. Cambio, did not want the roads to be public. And in order for the town council to be in a position to accept a road as public, it has to be dedicated by the owner. That is, it has to be offered. In fact, the town just went to the Supreme Court on a case very similar to that. And because the court found that the person had not offered the road as a public road, had not dedicated it, the town could not accept it as a public road, and it never did. So that's the status of the entire park, is that it was never offered as a public road. And so I know we sort of butt heads on this every time, but when you purchased the condominium, you had to know that it was not a public road. None of that was a public road, because it was clear on all the land evidence records, all the town records have always made it crystal clear that none of the roads in the center of New England are public roads. They're not. And they weren't when you bought the place. And so, by the same token, it's kind of unfair to force the town to take over roads that were never intended to be public, because the people who are going to pay for that are the people in the rest of the town. So,
That's who's paying for that.
Well, yeah, but
We're paying the same amount of money that the rest of the town is, and they're getting their trash.
Well, I'm not going to argue it with you. I tried to give you an
removal.
explanation.
We're getting zero.
And it's an honest explanation. That is how that road became private, is because the developers of the mall wanted to keep it that way, and they never offered it to the town as public. And until they do that, the town can't just go in and start taking roads as public roads. The only way they could do that is by eminent domain, which the town was absolutely not going to do with Center of New England. There were so many lawsuits pending with Center of New England suing the town of Coventry back when those condominiums were built. It was a complete mess. And we're just straightening it out now, just now. So I understand your frustration. And I know that the council does too. It's really difficult from your standpoint to accept how this happened, but there are some things that right now, I would say the council is just not in a position to fix that. And if they were, I'd tell them they could, but they're not in a position to fix the inequity that you're talking about.
I'm
They're
not
just not.
asking you to fix the road. I'm
Yeah.
merely asking you to declare it a public road.
I understand that.
Whereby the snowplow comes in. We pay $382,000 in taxes a year.
Right, and the
And we
roads,
don't get a single thing from you people.
but the roads,
I mean, if
the
that's
roads are in,
fair-
I agree with you, the roads are in deplorable condition.
Yes, they
And
are.
what you're suggesting
I'm
is that
not
the
talking
town
about
council
repair.
take over all the roads that are in deplorable condition and pay to fix them. And that's
Which
just not a
we're not gonna do.
position that the town, is really, that's not something that the town thinks is feasible right now.
Okay,
So that's it. I'm trying to give you an explanation. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm telling you what happened.
thank you. Mr.
I-
McGee,
I know
Mr. Reynolds, we've heard you, and we've heard this issue before, and you're probably not going to like the answer, but that's the answer. Mr. McGee has something else?
I usually don't speak on, with public comment. I'll let you express your concerns. I feel your frustration also.
we all
But, the roads are not built to the same standards as a regular town road was. When a contractor builds the roads, they get a break on them. They're never intended to become a private road. And with all due respect, a public one, I'm sorry, with all due respect, when you bought your property and all the people down in that village bought their property, they knew what they were buying. They knew the tax rate. I mean, I understand your frustration, but if you didn't know, shame on you for not doing your homework. It's your responsibility.
I was in the hospital at the time. I never read the docs till I came home. And there's several there that had 2 lawyers, and nobody found anything on the paper that just said, hold up. You be very careful of this thing. They've had it by the home. And so far as your answer is concerned, Mr. Cambio is 0 for that town. At 85 homes, we're on our own. We spend $40,000 in addition to the taxes to get our roads plowed and pick up trash. That's addition to everything else. We're the only parts.
All right.
I don't understand that. I mean, if you want 2 parts of town, this part lives in Coventry and this part lives in nowhere. But where do I go? I go down to town hall and I give them my tax bill and I pay my bills here. So I must be living in Coventry, right? How come I'm not receiving anything? I'm not going
Okay, thank you.
to stand here and tell you till the cows come home.
Okay, thanks a lot. Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else? Mr. Gizzarelli, he had his hand up. Mr. Gizzarelli.
I'd like to ask a question for him.
Later on. Mr. Gizzarelli.
Thank you. Kate Whittinghill, 586 Old Main Street. Nick, what happens after the receivership is done and whether or not we get any monies then? What happens then?
Well, the receivership is still pending.
Yes, what
and
happens? I understand it's pending. Well, let's say it's finished.
If it,
And
well,
we
all right,
become a
I'll
creditor,
answer-
we get some money.
I'll answer your question if I can. Right now, the town has an agreement with the receiver that would help the receiver resolve the numerous tangles of lawsuits and public roads and all the problems that have besieged the center of New England since really
I understand
5
that.
or 10 years ago.
I understand.
If that happens, a lot of the roads will be fixed.
Okay.
The town has an agreement with the receiver to do the things that need to be done to protect the town, be fair to the taxpayers, and at the same time, I think, enhance the viability of Center New England. I'm not going to get into the details.
No,
It was an
that's
agreement.
okay,
We had a
because-
long public hearing on it.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that I understand also that if I was one of the ones that bought the condo and knew that I was responsible for my own trash and my own snow removal, I get that. I was just wondering what happens after receivership. you know?
Hopefully, when the receivership when it concludes, Center of New England will fulfill its promise and it'll look like a beautiful new mall with new roads and new residential developments
not-
or new businesses. That's what it
But the
was
town
supposed
not
to
be
be.
liable whatsoever.
No, the town doesn't
have
own
nothing.
any of it.
Okay, that's
None
all.
of it.
I was just, thank you. All right,
Yep.
thanks.
Mr. Gizarelli. Good evening.
Ron Ghizzarelli, 50 Harrington Road. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Time to address the town council. I've been around very often. I've got a lot going on in my family. But I came in because there's 4 issues. I'll start with the least in comparison to the 4. I'll make them quick as possible. One is, for quite some times, the Tioga Lake Association has been complaining about the possibility of us having a big problem on Tioga Avenue as you come down the hill near the old Nino's and the old Benny's there. That's about a half a mile road, and we've had some close calls with turnover trucks and things that had pollutions on them, including oil and gas trucks and so forth. And I've asked a few times, and I met with the present Department of Public Works Director a year or 2 ago, time's flying now, and mentioned to him in front of Dell's Lemonade, there's a main big corrugated pipe from both sewers, the one on one side of the road in front of Dell's and on the other side that goes directly into Tioga Lake. We know how small our lake is, and we know, I don't know, about quite a few years ago, we were like the 3rd or 4th pristine lake in the state, or pond that was going to be backed up for use for drinking water compared to the reservoir because we've had it so clean for so many years. Things have been changing since central New England, since the dump and all the other things, and partial pollution. I'll get to that in a minute. But I can't see why we can't have the pipe cut off and stop from going directly into our lake on any kind of stormwater because of the possibilities with all the accidents that go on with that road that turns off because people coming down the hill. All they'd have to do is cut that pipe off, let the water go along the flow in the 2 gutters, swales, and then they can eventually go into, if we want to set it up, into a holding area behind the berms, behind Tioga Lake, which is a holding area that we could cut off that I mentioned in the design that I sent to DEM years ago. They kind of followed that to the letter when they put up the new berms. I'm not sure if we're a high hazard dam any longer because of the berm support on our lake now on the main area, but I'm saying that I don't see why we can't do something about that simply, where we can make sure it don't go directly into the lake. Our lake is so small, all it takes is a minor pollution area on Tioga Avenue. We'd be in big trouble for a long time with the public beach, with the kids and everybody that uses the beach. So I'm saying, can we look at that? That's the minor issue. One more time, because I think it's simple. We can have the water go into the holding area behind the berms. We could have a little gate there. I'd pay for it myself, just to shut it off until we drain out whatever pollution went in there so it don't go into Patuxent River. Could we please look into that once and for all and try to get that squared away before? It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, Mr. President. And we've come close a couple of times. Just happened to be past there near Benny's and it was in the bottom of the lake where we had the big flood when we had the 100-year storm. One of these days, coming down that hill, something's going to happen at that intersection. That's all going to go right in our lake. It's ridiculous that we can't make that go by the lake and go into the holding area behind the berm, pump it out, open it up, and let the fresh water go in from the overflow from Tioga Lake. Can we get that one done, at least, Mr.
Okay.
President? That's number 1. But it's number 4 on the issue. The next one would be the sewers.
Excuse me, Mr. Ghizzarelli, could you back off the
Yes, I am.
microphone just a little bit because
I hear you.
especially when it's live, the sound
Okay.
is going to be
Sorry.
very muffled.
I'm just used to speaking loud with public
Well,
comment.
so you can speak loud, but being so
Okay.
close, it's bottoming out.
The third one is the sewers. I'm concerned about the sewers, of course. It's connected to the lake pollution as well. And I'm sure everybody wants sewers, but you've got a big problem on your table right now to determine how we're going to handle that so people can afford it, whether people are going to be taxed on that or extra money based on when they sell the homes or whatever. I'll let you guys all figure that out, but people have to afford when you go buy their homes. And if they've already got systems in, they should be accepted and be at least temporarily exempted so they don't have to pay into that. And then the connection from the road into their homes, that's another factor. We've got a lot of seniors around the lake that are in all the old cottages. They just can't afford them. They've left their husbands or wives and they're living on Social Security and so forth. I know 8 or 9 of them myself. Right now, we have about 112 people on a petition, very respectful petition to just get some things done because you guys own the lake. Either riparian rights underneath or whatever, we own the lake. So I'm saying, can we take a look at that hardly in the committees that are set up to see if we can find some way to make it so that people can afford the sewers, so we help the lake as well. Lake pollution, that's the worst one, but I gotta say one more. FEMA and Loma, I've been involved in it just a little bit at a time. I've talked to most of you, including Ed, our interim town manager, and I'm hoping that, I've talked to our town solicitor and you, Mr. President, your district, and I'm trying to get something done with FEMA and Loma. Our water goes down November 1st or so. It's practically half gone or more, depending on the weeds we're trying to kill. And it don't come back up till April something or whatever. We have that agreement with the town for a long time. It's still being done. The Tioga Lake Association, I still think, is running the dam and so forth in the sets of opening and closing the gate. I think that's still going on, if I'm correct. But I'm saying that it's connected to that I can't understand why we can't get something done with a reline drawn with FEMA and Loma, because there's a document in our files that I have our Sergeant at Arms looking for. He's got 3 file cabinets full, but back in 80 or 81, I think I mentioned it before, the Corps of Engineers, the Army Corps of Engineers did all kinds of research because the insurance companies were complaining and other companies, the insurance companies were knowing was getting worse and worse on so-called climate change, whatever that really is. And they knew that because of that, they were trying to push the issue on people getting flood insurance. The way in which our lake has always been, maybe 5 months of the year we might be able to be flooded, maybe, and the rest of the year we can't be flooded, unless we got a 200, 300-foot wave that comes from the bay that comes all over 95 and hits us. So I'm saying, I can't believe that we can't help the senior citizens that can't afford to refinance their homes unless they get flood insurance. It goes anywhere from $500 to $3,000 in addition to your homeowners, because it's a separate insurance. So I wish the town would help with that. I've talked to the town solicitor, I've talked to the town manager, interim town manager, and to you. It seems to me that line could be redrawn, and at least half of the year, nobody would have to pay flood insurance. It's prorated somehow. We need your help, because you guys own the lake. Last one on pollution, that's connected, to what I had mentioned before about the sewers, and I'm saying, can't we test both when the water's high and when the water's low, see if we can find some areas? We got the center of New England, we got the dump that's been there for 60 or 70 years, that we don't know what all that extra weight of dirt going on top, which I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but to me that means that all the barrels that are underneath there that are going to be breaking even sooner because of the pressure of all that. I don't know how much should be put there to cover it, but what they're underneath, we're about 150 feet lower than central New England and about 200 feet lower from Amgen. With all of that up above, Mr. President, next to 95, it's all flowing downhill. And one way or the other, we've got some test areas that we raised heck in order to get put in. So can't we?
We've asked, and it, about the bacteria, and I guess it's scheduled for the October, November, whatever the water level gets. I don't know if anyone's been hired yet, but that was talked about months ago. And we understand that that's a concern. And the council said yes, to look into what's causing that. So,
and I'm saying
again,
I can be helpful with
well,
that. I know
all
more
right.
about
And
the lake than
the
many
town
people. I've
can
been there
reach
since
out when it's
1946.
determined. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else for public comment? Yes, sir. Hello.
Hello, I'll be really brief. David Dadakian, 1061 Fish Hill Road. I just want to say, as a citizen of District 1, hopefully on behalf of many of the citizens of District 1, thank you very much for your service. As someone who wants to represent District 1, I really appreciate what you had to say tonight. I thought the letter was great, so thank you, Karen. Thanks very much.
Well, thanks for your comments. Okay, and congratulations. I guess you, along with Mrs. Dixon, with the two that survived the primary. So best of luck to both of you. All right, anyone else before we ask for adjournment? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Happy Columbus Day weekend.